What is up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Missing Chapters. I'm your host, AEBeats, and I wanted to start today's show off with a game called Name That Tune. So, what 3 songs did I use to open up the show with? Go ahead, yell them out, and let's see if you got them correct. The first song was a cover made popular by the Ventures called Walk, Don't Run. The second track was Your Hand in Mine by Explosions in the Sky. And the last song was first performed and recorded by the Surfaris called Wipeout. So how'd you do? I assume that a majority of you guessed at least one out of the 3 songs. So let's go ahead and try this again with a couple of different tracks. Here we go, round 2. Okay, so how did you do this time around? I'm willing to bet that a majority of you probably guessed all 3 of these songs. So shout them out. Here we go again. The first one was Tighten Up by the Black Keys. Second track was King Kunta by Kendrick Lamar. And the last track was Someone Like You by Adele. So any guesses? Well, you guys were able to easily identify the second set of songs more so than the first. Sure, you could argue that the tracks contained in round 2 were more recent, and I would agree with that. I'd agree with that. However, me being me, I like to dig a little bit deeper, and what I think is really going on here is that the second set of songs I played for you are songs that contain lyrics, while the first set were 100% instrumental. Now, I think it's a safe assumption that we all tend to listen for different things when we hear a song for the first time, because what we tend to listen for, it helps us subconsciously determine if we're going to immediately tap the repeat or skip button. Now, for me, I'm locking into the instrumentation and the mix first and foremost. But I do realize that I'm an outlier because what I think most people probably focus in on first are the lyrics. Now, different arguments are made as to why this occurs, but the argument that resonates with me the most is that lyrics help us immediately determine the meaning of a song. So with instrumental music, finding that message, finding out the song's meaning can be a lot more challenging because it relies on you to interpret the song's message. Now, if you've never experienced the feeling of sitting down and fully absorbing and interpreting an instrumental song, then I would like to challenge you to do just that sometime within, let's say, the next 2 weeks. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to help you guys out because on today's episode, you're going to hear from the Kansas City 4-piece instrumental group who call themselves Via Luna. Just recently coming off a West Coast tour, as well as releasing the brand new track Astral Planes in May, Via Luna are straight up killing it. Last year, Via Luna was one of the very select group of artists to make the Reddit official Listen to This Best of 2015 list in the progressive math rock category. They also captured a slot in the top 45 best mathy albums of 2015 on FeckingBahamas.com. These 4 dudes, they play very intricate and complex instrumental music, but they also have a strong understanding of how the mass population views and consumes this style of music, so they do a really good job at cleverly wrapping their songs in an easily consumable package. I had the absolute pleasure of sitting down with a majority of Via Luna to discuss the missing chapters about the pros and cons of being an all-instrumental group. So here we go.
Chapter 1.
Just having a good time?
Yeah.
Cool. You guys want to do just quick introductions?
I'm Chris and I play guitar.
I'm Mike and I play drums.
I'm Blaine and I play bass.
And we are missing who today?
We're missing Greg, who also plays guitar.
Okay.
So,
Right on. He's making coffee today.
Ooh.
Couldn't get away from his job.
Of making coffee.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you guys got to know each other before starting Via Luna. Did you guys play in separate bands or just friends from a long time, or how'd that come about?
Basically, I mean, I've been friends with Greg, the other guitar player, for a really long time. We moved to Kansas at the same time, and he moved from Las Vegas and I moved from San Diego.
Okay.
And we just kind of like hit it off just because we were the new kids in town and we both played guitar. And that was like 2009. And so we've been like jamming since then. And then we actually found like they were in another band. Greg was in another band with some other friends. and they found Mike on Craigslist,
Oh,
which is like
yeah?
absolutely crazy.
I grew up in Central Missouri playing music too, and then I went to college and I moved to Kansas City after college, and I had not been playing music for like a couple of years and I missed it, so I was like, I'm gonna find some dudes to just jam with, and I went to Craigslist and I didn't really know anybody else in the area, and that's like real hit or miss if you're trying to do that.
It
It's
is.
like
Yeah. It's like, is this guy going to be a serial killer or?
Well, yeah. You know, funny enough, my first encounter, I don't even know if I told you guys this, but my first encounter with that was I met this guy who was like, I don't know, he said he was like 40 years old. He's like, yeah, I just want to, rock out or something. So I went to his house, which was like in a trailer park in like South, I don't remember, like Grandview or something. And it was like just him, and he had this bunch of this guitar stuff in his living room area, and he was like, I lied about my age. I'm actually 55. I'm like, okay. He's like, sometimes when you tell people your age on Craigslist, they don't want to come out and jam with you because you're too old or something. And I'm like, whatever, man. And I was like, this is already kind of weird. Right. Why are you lying about your age? And so we played for like an hour until his wife came out of the bedroom, and she was like, shut up, you're being too loud. And I was like, I'm just going to go. But then after that, I met Greg and the other guys in the band that he was playing with at the time, and we kind of jammed for a while. It was like a year, I think. We didn't really do anything too special with that, but that band split up, and then we pulled Chris on board because Greg was like, I know this guy who's really cool. We haven't played together in a little while, but it worked out great because Chris is pretty cool. And then our old bassist moved away for college, and
Yeah, I was the most recent addition to the band. I went to their practice space to jam with another dude, and I heard them practicing when I got there, and I was like, this is so cool. It was so good. I was like, if you guys ever need a bassist, hit me up.
and we did.
Yeah.
Nice.
Soon after that, yeah. So it really worked out because I was already friends with Greg. So yeah.
Very cool. So you came out here from San Diego?
Yeah.
What brought you out here?
Well, I have a lot of family around here. Like, I was actually born in Independence, Kansas, which is like down south next to Oklahoma. And just like my mom moved out there when I was super young. So I grew up there, but then I moved back like to finish off high school just to be around family and stuff like that.
Nice.
So,
Save a lot of money too.
yeah. Yeah. It's I'm glad I came back though.
Yeah.
Just like got like a different experience, got to like meet some cool people, and instead of having to like deal with the city life.
Right.
So
yeah, every time I go out to the West Coast, it's like everyone is no one waves, right? Like, I came here from Seattle, and that was the first thing that I realized. I was like, why is everyone waving to me? Like, is there something? Like, what is wrong? And then I get used to it, and I go out to Los Angeles, and I'm like, oh my God, everyone's on their phones looking down. Like, it's so impersonal.
Yeah. That's what we know. I mean, we just went to the West
You did
Coast
off
on
the tour, yeah.
So that's what we noticed. And like
For
everyone tries to push their agenda to you.
Right.
Like, it's cool here. I feel like you can meet people and like have a good conversation, but they're like nothing bad about the West Coast, I guess, but like it's just like more obvious that you can see people are trying to like push their life into like
They want to tell you about what they're doing,
Right.
rather than just have a conversation like about whatever. And that's like you said, it's not like everywhere, but we noticed that definitely a lot more out there. Like, oh, I see you do this. This is what I do. Look at me.
Right. You didn't get halfway through your sentence. They're like, whoa, let me tell you about myself.
Let me take the mic real quick.
So tell me a little about the tour. You guys started here, then you went to Vegas, and then California, and up to Portland? Or?
We actually started in Oklahoma. Was
Oklahoma.
our first show. Yeah, we went down to Texas, played some ridiculous shows in Texas.
Like
Ridiculous
ridiculously
good?
good.
Okay.
Yeah. And the whole tour was like that, actually. Like, we expected, like, this was our first time going out west, and we have some friends out there, which is why we went that direction. We expected like each show to have like 5 or 10 people, and like every show.
Well,
There was one that was sold
better
out,
than
wasn't
that,
it?
but
well, yeah.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah, San
exaggerating a little bit.
Francisco sold out, and it was a crazy show.
It was awesome, yeah.
It was
And
great.
Denton, Texas, which was our second show, I think it would have sold out if it was like a legit venue, but it was like a house party. This place called the Jago House, and they do shows and parties like semi-regularly, and I guess every time they throw one, just like 200 people show up.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was insane.
Yeah, probably the most fun show we've ever played.
It was
honestly.
a blast.
Yeah, like you couldn't fit any more people in the house than what was already in the house. Like everybody was shoulder to shoulder.
It was amazing.
Was that the show where people were like crowd surfing and stuff?
No,
That was
in
another
Albuquerque.
one, but
I was in
yeah.
Albuquerque.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we had like that show specifically, we had a good friend in like another band that was playing there, and he like came up to us and started apologizing. He's like, I'm so sorry, but I could not even see you guys play because I couldn't even fit into the room. Like
In Texas.
In
yeah,
Denton,
yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
It was cool. It was like definitely a great experience.
Yeah.
So
It was dope.
But yeah,
How was Portland?
it was awesome.
I bet,
Honestly,
yeah.
that was the surprise from like city-wise. It was such a fun time in Portland. I'd never been there, so it was fun.
I haven't been there either. Yeah, Portland's cool.
it was, yeah, we got to, that was like the one city we got to early enough to like experience the
Oh, nice.
atmosphere. Because everywhere you're going and you like get off the bus and you just kind of like chill for an hour and then you play and then you pack up and leave.
Yeah, but we drove through the night from San Francisco to Portland, so we had plenty of time when we got there to hang out and do stuff.
It was sweet. We wanted to go to Voodoo Donuts.
I was gonna say, did you guys go there?
Well, we wanted to,
There
but
was just so many people there. There was
Yeah.
like 300 people like in line, like out
Constantly.
in front of it. Yeah,
we got there at 2 in the afternoon and we left. We were like done hanging out at like 2 a.m. the next morning.
Right.
And for that 12-hour span, there was always like 300 people in line outside of
Yeah.
Voodoo Donuts.
it was insane.
That's like In-N-Out Burger in California. Whenever you try to go to it, it's like just a ton of people.
Yeah, there's usually a line there.
Yeah, we went to In-N-Out in San Francisco, but we went there at like, midnight.
Yeah.
It was still pretty
It was
bumping
really
for like
packed.
that
Yeah.
late. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But it was good.
Speaking about that tour bus, I saw a shot of that. Holy smokes. Dude, who funded that?
That was
Yeah.
that actually belongs to my folks.
Okay.
And they bought it like a long time ago and used it for a while to go camping and stuff. And it's like an RV essentially.
Yeah.
And it had just been sitting in like their yard or their shed for the past couple of years, not being used. And we were talking about doing this tour. We don't have a van of our own. We were like, where can we get a van? And we like looked up renting one, which for 2 weeks is like $1,500
Sure.
like minimum,
Yeah.
which was like, just kind of out, not even possible. Just like that's what we're gonna spend on gas. Basically, we can't
Right.
do that for a van. But
Right.
we checked out. We asked a couple buddies about borrowing a van, and we had some friends that were willing to let us borrow their van. But we would have felt bad if like something broke down or something like that. And so I kind of asked my folks, like, what do you think about us taking this RV on the road? And they're like, But since they hadn't been using it for so long, they kind of, I guess, like sparked the idea in them that they would maybe just sell it. And so they're like, yeah, we'll get it running, make sure it works, and you guys can test it out on the road, sort of. And then once you get back, we'll sell it. And so we lucked out, got to use it. It worked. It got us out there and back, but
It had some struggles, but it made it.
Yeah.
It had its quirks that we learned along the way. So
Exactly. We had to fill the oil pretty much every morning.
Oh, was
So,
it leaking out?
oil.
Yeah.
So
pretty fast. But yeah,
we were driving a lot, but yeah.
true. I think we did like 6,000 miles.
Holy smokes.
And-
Nice.
what was that? 13 days.
Yeah.
So
A lot.
It maxed out at like 35 miles per hour going up a hill. So
the mountains right before San Diego were like the slowest part of
Yeah,
the experience. But
Everyone get out. We're going to push this thing.
Right.
yeah.
we would always use Google Maps, and it was funny because we had two things like to estimate how long it was going to get there. It was like, so Google says it's going to take us like 8 hours to get to this spot.
But we know.
Yeah, that's Google time. And then there's RV time, which means you add like 3 hours to that.
Right. So you guys maintain the rule of no number twos in the bus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
That's a hard rule. No breaking that rule.
Yeah, it didn't even really have like its own like bathroom room. It was still just like, in the hallway. So like that would be terrible. It's like there are doors that you can kind of close it off, but it's not. I mean, like once you're done, you're like it's out in the open.
It's out in the open.
There's no hiding it.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and check out a song by Via Luna. This song is called Astroplanes. It's their brand new song they released on the Sundry split with Riala back in May that I was talking about a little bit earlier. You guys are going to dig it. Here we go. Cool. So tell me a little bit about why you guys chose to be an instrumental band. Was it an active decision, or was it like we're gonna look for a vocalist and that didn't work out, so let's just be an instrumental band?
It kind of sparked from, like, as I was talking about before, when Greg and I were playing in this other band that kind of was the before Via Luna band. We had a vocalist in that band, and we loved that guy, and he was really cool. But when that band kind of fell apart, we just kind of like, I don't know, we listened to a lot of instrumental music, and we kind of thought that if we were to have a vocalist, he would have to be like the perfect guy, you know? And since we like instrumental music so much, we just decided not to look too hard for that. And so we just started jamming mostly with instruments at first, and it kind of just...
Yeah, and it's funny because I listen to a lot of instrumental music too, and one of the main appeals to me for joining the band was the fact that there wasn't a vocalist.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm really into instrumental music, so that really appealed to me. I don't know, I'm kind of picky about vocalists too, so it's the same thing. It would have had to have been like the perfect, vocalist.
He would have had to have had he would have had to have been a great vocalist, and he would have also had to have fit in with our personalities,
Right.
and not brought any front man drama to the band.
Right.
Yeah, dude, frontmen are always kind of weird. There's a little bit off. It's like if you meet a frontman who's normal, you're like, dude, you're probably not that good of a frontman.
Right. They have to be kind of weird, which is good and bad.
so true,
You're right.
So, but along with that, before we officially changed to the style that we're playing now, I had joined their band and started jamming with them, and it just we just started writing differently, and then the singer that we were playing with just became less interested and more involved in other things, and it was a pretty mutual agreement, but it just it was a pretty natural progression. You asked that, so that's kind of how it happened.
Okay.
So
When you say you're writing differently, what did that consist of?
Harder stuff to play.
well, the band that it was before was a post-hardcore, not really any screaming vocals, but it was, really, really song-oriented and very,
It seems like from what I've heard of it, it was built a little more around the vocals, and the music that you guys started to write didn't really have the room for vocals,
Right.
because it was more orchestrated as far as
A lot busier.
Yeah. So it would have been more difficult for him to write vocals over it. So.
And I think once we decided that we weren't going to have a vocalist, it opened up room for us, creatively to think okay, we have all this room, speaking of in a song or in a mix, to fill it with stuff that we want to play on guitar, or mathy stuff, I guess, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
So we listen to a lot of stuff like that. That's just really cool, fast, upbeat guitar stuff. And when you're writing a song for vocals, you kind of have to think about this vocal is going to be the focus of the song. Mm-hmm. So everything else has to kind of support that.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we were listening to a lot of stuff that was, like I said, instrumental and math rock stuff, and we wanted to kind of write some of that. And it's easier to write it without vocals, so you can just let loose,
Right.
Yeah.
no holding back.
And once we decided we weren't going to have a vocalist, it opened up the possibilities for us to do whatever we want with the music.
Yeah, kind of like a breath of fresh air, but
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, that was actually what I was curious about, because I write music as well. Yeah, and when I write, I'm just I'm stacking layers, because I'm I'm not thinking about the vocals. And so you bring vocalists in, you're you're going to have to take those layers out. And some of that stuff, you're damn it, that was really good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just don't want to cut anything, so we cut the vocal.
So true. Yeah, because vocals are kind of like their own instrument. a lot
Right,
of the
for
time.
sure.
So
Right.
you do have to make space for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
With our music, it's I don't know. It would be difficult. We're talking about doing like a featuring EP and having vocals on it.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
having guest vocals play on some songs. So
I was going to say, listening to your guys' stuff, man, I'm assuming vocals are probably hitting you up pretty consistently,
Yeah.
because it's really melodic.
it happens at every show to me. I don't know. It seems like people all the time are asking us dude, I want to, can I sing over your stuff? Like, people are always hitting us up about that.
He's like,
which
here's
is
my
cool.
MySpace link. Like,
Right.
We
I don't
actually
know if you're
played
in touch with this.
We played a show in Texas last year
Uh-huh.
during South by Week. We played at this guy's house. It was a great show, and he happens to be like a musician himself and has like recording space in his house.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved our set. And like the very next day, like not even 24 hours later, he sent us a clip of one of our songs that he had like sang over. And it was so cool because it was like so fast. He was like, "I love your guys' set. I just had to sing on it. Check this out." And it was awesome.
They even
honestly.
did some improvised singing at the show.
Yeah, that was
no
that was
kidding.
the best part.
Yeah.
They like we were playing our set and probably like 3 songs in, they're like, "Just give me a mic, I want to sing."
Yeah. We were like,
yeah.
there you go, dude.
So they tore it up though.
They
Yeah, it
really
was
did.
awesome.
It
Yeah.
was really fun. Yeah.
So you say there was like multiple people?
There was-
Yeah,
Actually,
there's
there were
guys,
two
yeah.
guys that got
Yeah.
up and like I don't know, dual sang. I don't know how you
Spit
say
mad,
that.
spit
Yeah.
mad rhymes.
Yeah.
It was sweet.
Nice. So
Shout
tell me
out to
about
Patrick.
Patrick.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you guys write. Because one thing I love about your guys' sound, and you mentioned this earlier, Mike, was the mathy stuff. You know, being able to go from 5/4 to 3/4 and 6/8 and back and forth, and you guys are really solid at doing your transitions, so it's not really noticeable. So does one person bring in like a riff, and then you guys are like, well, that's in 4/4, let's make it more complicated, or how does that work?
It's like utter chaos when we're writing. I don't even know how to describe it. So like, but one person will bring something in and be like, "Hey, we have this idea. Like, I want to build on it." So we'll sit there like as a band and we'll build on that one section and see. We'll tear it apart, and sometimes we'll make it more complicated, or sometimes we'll even be like, "Hey, this needs to be more simple. Like, way too much is going on. We're trying too hard right here."
Yeah.
And then we did this a lot on our Heavy Light EP, and we're trying to challenge ourselves, I guess, a little bit and get away from it. But we'll like literally write one part and then figure out like just like part to part to part to part, like back and back and back. And that's just kind of how it's been. And so we'll find those transitions and see what we can do and see how we can move it. It's more of like a mood thing.
Okay.
Like we're trying to focus on the mood of the song, not trying like we don't want to do like heavy part after heavy part or like calm part after calm part. So we try and mix it up in that respect. But
So it's a progression.
Yeah. And we're trying to have the right dynamics for the emotions and, like you said, the mood that we're trying to convey with the song. So yeah, I don't know.
It's definitely tough to do it like without vocals. You're trying to still convey a mood or a story artistically,
Right.
and
even a melody though, too.
yeah. And I really appreciate what you said about the transitions being nice, because that's the hardest
That is
part.
the hardest
It
part.
is the
Yeah.
hardest part.
Yes.
Because literally some of the songs are just like 4 or 5 parts that are just one after another, and the hardest part for us is figuring out how to piece them together.
Right.
So thank you for saying that.
Absolutely. No, man, that's the first thing that I lock into, because like I'm the guy where you play me a new song, I'm not listening to the vocals, I'm listening to the instrumentation in the mix.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, yeah, that transition worked or that transition didn't, or yeah, they just stopped and brought a new part in, they're being lazy. Right. So it's like I'm super big proponent of like solid transitions because it makes a song.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you guys go in thinking, okay, this is going to be a verse riff, a chorus riff, or you guys just like, okay, we're going to take this part and then just progress into this next part, or how does that work?
We did a little bit more on this last song, the one on the split with Riala. We don't normally think like that. I don't know. I think earlier on in the band there was this kind of like this kind of distaste for repeating parts. Like it was kind of taboo to repeat like a part,
Like typical songy structure.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think there's something cool about being able to connect with the part that's to reconnect with it in the song. So I think that we kind of thought that way in this part, kind of a verse. There's kind of a verse part in that song and a little bit of a chorus part, but not. I mean, we just touch on that idea. I think it's not so much a really like strict thing. So.
Yeah. We definitely didn't we tried to avoid being typical song structure
Okay.
music at first, like Blaine said, but we get a lot of positive reaction to our songs that are more like that. And so I think for the next one, we're going to try to implement that a little more, like revisiting parts in a song to kind of give it familiarity or structure.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because so how do you guys when you don't structure your songs that way, how do you keep a song from being like 20 minutes long? Because I can imagine if you're jamming parts apart, you're like, oh man, this is gonna build into a fantastic part, and you're like 15 minutes, like, oh man, how do we cut this back?
It's a struggle.
Yeah.
We definitely have to limit ourselves. Usually we try to think like, okay, this is going to be really boring to listen to if it's 15 minutes long. Like there's a very small niche of people who like 15-minute songs. One of them is Blaine.
Yeah, don't stop. We're gonna keep going.
I love a really long song. Yeah.
But it's definitely a discipline that we try to follow. Like when we hit a part that we really, really like we'll be writing a song and we'll hit this groove or this section that everybody's like, this feels so good to play. It's really hard for us to say we need to stop this after like 8 bars or 16 bars, or else we're just like indulging ourselves, and it's not doing anything for the song after that point. So it's definitely a discipline.
I was gonna ask, what other types of things do you guys run into to keep the music, to keep your fan base essentially not alienated to those 10 or 15 people who like just instrumental mathy rock that's 15 minutes long? What other types of things do you take into account when you guys are writing songs?
Well, I think this new song on the split is a good example of that, because we do sing on it a little bit. It's just a little patch in the middle of the song where we do gang vocals, but it's that kind of thing where there was a little bit of singing on one song on the first EP too, and people really dug that, and I don't know, I think we enjoyed that a lot, so we put a little bit of that in just to kind of it just touches on it, it doesn't. It's not the focus of the song or anything.
It's like another instrument.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I feel like people kind of connect with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Plus, like the melodies, like Chris was saying.
That's what I was gonna
like,
say. Yeah. It's all about the melodies. Like we're not doing stuff that's super post rocky and like drawn out and what's the word, ambient.
Yeah.
But we're also not doing super mathy stuff. Like if you ever heard of the band called like Hella, or this band from St. Louis called Yowie, which is just like disorganized chaos. And it's super impressive because they're not playing like music. They're not playing like notes. It's just like there's no like rhythm to it at all, but there is a rhythm because like they're together in their chaos.
Right.
Again, they're called Yowie. It's crazy. So we don't do stuff like that you have to be a real fan of math rock to kind of enjoy that kind of stuff. We implement a lot of, like melodies. We try to make everything, we always litmus test, how does this make us feel when we hear it back? Mm-hmm. And I think that's how we kind of appeal to a broader audience is we're being instrumental, but we're playing stuff that's usually pretty major chord, like happy to listen to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
because we all like different stuff ourselves, so like he was saying, that litmus test when you play it back to ourselves, it kind of like if we all connect with it or we all like sync up and are like, yeah, this is great, like that's how we know it. That I mean, we're not really thinking about what other people, that's not what other people think isn't the focus, but we're kind of our own little focus group. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, so true.
Another, like, as far as writing though, like we usually try and do one guitar lead and another guitar like rhythm most of the time. And some of the leads are more complex, but we always have the like lead guitar parts that are more like melodic and more relaxed and simple. So that's where we would try and bring something in that'll kind of like get stuck in your head, kind of like a chorus or something like that.
Build that foundation,
Yeah.
All right, it's about time for a music break. The next song I'm going to play for you is called Stratovolcano, and it's taken off Via Luna's Heavy Light album that they released back in June of 2015.
Chapter 3. Chapter 3.
So is it difficult to book shows as an instrumental band? Like when you reach out to these venues, I'm assuming you're doing it the exact same way all the other bands do. You know, here's our EPK, we'd like to play there, etc. Do you ever get back to you and they're like, sorry, we don't host instrumental bands? Or do you guys run into any difficulties like as compared to when you were in bands with a vocalist before?
Not particularly. I mean, I think the game's changed a little bit and everyone's a little more open. I mean, there's instrumental bands that are touring all the time, you know, like Explosions in the Sky and like
Chon, who
yeah.
just toured their instrumental band and they sold out every show on their tour.
Nice.
So I don't think it's a limitation really at all.
I think that maybe it has happened in the past, and maybe at first it was more an issue, but we probably didn't know it. You know,
Because it's hard for every band when you're starting.
Yeah. Exactly. But I think that we've established ourselves at least a little bit in the Kansas City area as a band that maybe.
We're okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we say that?
Yeah. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying we're like the best ever, but people, I don't know. They know we've played shows.
I mean, the last shows that we booked was a tour. Like,
Right.
it's gotten to the point now where we haven't booked a Kansas City show in like a year. We're every twice a week we get asked to play on shows, and so it's not hard at all anymore.
Right.
But it definitely was at first.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, I don't think it was more hard than it is for any band with a vocalist.
Yeah. I would say one really interesting thing is that when we first started out, people would always say when we were absolutely had no following or anything, but they would say you guys are instrumental, so you're going first.
Yeah.
That was the
Really?
weird thing. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It kind of
Which
makes
is-
sense, I guess, but
I mean, I don't know.
from a building a show perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I would say it'd make more sense your acoustic, you go first. But I don't know. That's just the weird kind of tidbit of thing that we've ran into as far as booking.
Like even if a band was at the same level as you guys as far as followers go, they would still try to put you first.
Yeah.
Yeah, earlier on,
Interesting.
yeah,
Huh.
I think so.
It would be weird to have an acoustic singer-songwriter go after us, because you have a really loud instrumental band
Yeah.
first and then a quiet band second.
Yeah, that's true.
That was weird. I'm pretty sure we ran into that a couple times.
Yeah.
Is it
But-
easier for you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say another thing is on the flip side, since we are instrumental, we don't it allows us to go into different genres of shows.
That's exactly what I was gonna ask.
Yeah. So
so weird.
we aren't having a singer really limits your sound and your fan base in a way. So we're able to we're playing a show with Vigil and Thieves.
Oh yeah.
On what is it, the 25th?
25th, I think.
At
it's a
California's.
Saturday.
And they're I don't know, they're kind of post-hardcore, punky.
Yeah.
And then we're playing a show with Amber Smoke, and
Yeah, that's what they're called.
they sound like really drony, heavy, and
Like Doom.
we
Oh
can.
man. Speaking about Doom, I checked out Sun. Have you guys heard? Sun?
yeah, dude. It's
Dude,
Blaine's
when
our-
are the
Blaine's our
drums
Doom
gonna
guy.
kick in? I'm 30 minutes into this one track. It's good though. It's good though.
That's Blaine's stuff.
Yeah,
man.
that's what I'm into. Yeah,
Nice.
heavier stuff. So
Yeah, like Chris said, we've played such a variety of different shows, because we don't have a vocalist, and a lot of people just don't really know where to fit us in, especially in Kansas City, because there's math rock or post rock's not super huge here.
Right.
So we played with jazz bands, soul bands, we played with metal bands, we played with acoustic bands,
hip hop band.
hip hop bands.
Yeah,
Really?
we played.
Yeah,
I
hip hop
forgot
dudes.
about that.
Hip hop dudes dig us. Actually, it's pretty cool. But yeah, it's super cool to get to do that and see so many different sides or scenes within our bubble here
It's
in the
true.
Midwest.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with a lot of genres they don't get to do that.
Yeah.
Like metal bands and stuff like that. I feel like you're sectioned off, and other kinds of bands like that. But we can kind of bounce around.
We've never really played with country before, though. And I'm all right with that, leaving them out. No offense, but
So when you guys reach out to venues, like when you're booking your tour, did you specifically have to look for venues that had instrumental bands play? Or since you guys are able to span the genres, you're just well, we're just going to hit up all these venues and ask if we can get show dates?
I'll answer that because I booked most of the tour.
Yeah, you did.
I did a lot of research into where other bands that we have played with before or are like us, where they play in those areas. And so I started out that way for sure, looking at places where they have music like ours play occasionally. And that definitely worked for booking like half of them. And then some of the cities were really tough. And booking a tour is the worst.
It is.
It sucks so much. I loved going on tour, and I definitely want to do it again, but booking it is the worst. So after I got those first few out of the way, then I started just going anywhere I could find. Like, we booked house shows are usually pretty great to play, and people that run house shows are usually pretty open to the obscure or under the radar type of music.
Right.
And so definitely house shows is where it's at.
We played a punk bar.
Yeah.
And we played places we
motorcycle
played,
bar.
Yeah, like the places we played aren't like limited to our or from our genre, by our genre.
Yeah.
True.
Nice. Are there any other Kansas City bands that you guys really enjoy playing with that are instrumental bands?
Riala, what's up? You're not instrumental, but you're awesome.
They're pretty close, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
in a sense.
Instrumental songs and
Yeah.
instrumental segments.
Yeah.
Like, well, a lot of bands have instrumental segments, but
Jorge and Rana Trio for
Okay.
sure.
yeah,
Those dudes rule.
One of the super cool.
Yeah. Who else is instrumental in town?
Humph, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Humph.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
All the bands on Haymaker.
Right. Haymaker's like the safe space for weird bands.
I think that's true.
Yeah. Shout out to Brenton too. He's awesome.
Yeah, Brent
Yeah.
Cook.
Yeah.
Super awesome guy. So what draws you guys to this style of music? What kind of really pulls you in? Because like we were talking earlier, a lot of people are pulled in by the vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
To me, I think that there's something really awesome about trying to express an idea or an emotion or a story with just instruments. I think it pushes you to be a lot more expressive and open than vocals and lyrics do, because that's the way people normally communicate, by talking, and telling stories that way, which is a great medium, but to do it with just instruments and music and atmosphere is just really, really cool to me. It's the way I love to enjoy music, so it's the way I love to make it too. So that's just me, though.
We actually listen to a lot of music with vocals. It's not like we just listen to instrumental music either.
Yeah, that's true.
But like he's saying, it's having that limitation of expressing an idea or feeling without telling somebody how to feel,
Yeah.
is really cool. If we can spark a reaction in somebody without telling them a story or with our like vocals or whatever, then it's
It's super cool. It's a great feeling for sure.
I don't really have anything to add. That's pretty good.
typical guitar player.
right. Yeah.
What about getting press? Is getting press difficult?
I think so.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean,
Getting good valid press is difficult.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Explain to me about valid. What do you mean by
well,
that?
I don't. Maybe valid's not the right word, but there's like I don't know, a lot of really niche, like you know what I'm trying to say.
Like blogs that only focus in on
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
like
blogs that
like
only
the-
focus in on a
the bigger
very
ones.
small area. Yeah,
And we've been successful with those blogs.
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
We've done very well with the there's Fecking Bahamas,
Yeah.
which is like the math rock. Like,
It's an
online
international-
magazine.
Right.
And then there's also there's a bunch of Facebook pages like the Math Rock News, and they've posted stuff for us and helped us out. But I guess it's a twofold thing. I mean, we haven't really branched out to other sort of mainstream media outlets as much as we would like to, but I mean, it doesn't seem like they're knocking on the door at the same time,
Yeah.
but it's not their fault. It's it's
Right,
just a twofold.
yeah.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah, there's things like, Homegrown Buzz and things like that, which definitely I feel like have more of a vocal focused idea of the music they're trying to play, which, is cool. It's awesome. It's just, it's doesn't really leave the door open to more, avant, types of music and different types of, groups.
It's tough though, because like the Buzz being AAA, you know, their focus is to try to get bands that people come in and listen to and immediately relate to, right? Because they're trying to sell advertisement.
Yes,
Have you guys gotten any love from like the Bridge or KKFI? Because I know that they're more open to.
Yeah,
we have actually.
They've spun us a couple times, and KJHK out in Lawrence.
Nice.
Yeah.
Our real homies. They've
Yeah.
done a lot for us, which is awesome.
Yeah, we've also been our music's been the bumps on NPR a couple times.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is super cool.
Yeah.
KCUR, yeah. That was super cool.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Like Chris was saying, like the bigger or AAA kind of stuff probably wouldn't really play us because we're not like super mainstream.
'cause they
And
don't
we're
even
totally
play-
okay with that. It's not
Right.
like we're trying to fit into that because it's not a great fit, really. I mean,
That's true. I
Yeah.
mean, they don't even play the really popular, instrumental bands, so-
right, like Explosions or something.
Right, or Mogwai, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
That's where we look, is the underground kind of stuff that would play bands that are similar to us but way bigger than us. So we try to go that route because that's where people who are listening to music, they're going to find those stations, and we want our music to be in front of people who are more likely to like it,
so
Yeah.
true.
not more likely to,
It can be an advantage. That's
Yeah.
basically.
for sure.
Focusing in on
we're
that
saying.
specific demographic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have so many international fans just because of that. I mean, we have people who've bought our stuff in the Philippines and like
Yeah,
India, Australia.
Oh, nice.
Japan,
Yeah.
It's been
Mexico,
Yeah,
Europe.
yeah.
That's super sweet.
What is the biggest international market that you guys are seeing?
I think it's the UK.
yeah, by far.
Yeah.
So
They have a big math rock scene there, which, I mean, we're not full on, math rock like Mike was saying, but there's definitely elements of our music that appeal to that crowd a lot. So,
You think it's because the arts are, in my opinion, I think that the arts are still very valid over in Europe, right? It's
Yeah.
like here in the States, they're removing music from schools, and not a lot of people are focusing on it.
Yeah.
But in Europe, it seems like that's still a big thing over there.
yeah.
Yeah. I've always heard that the U.S. is like the hardest market musically to break out
Right.
into because we're like most of us here listen to mainstream stuff on the radio or whatever, and so
Right.
you have to have real pop validity in order to get any sort of following here in most cases. But for bands like us or sort of the avant-garde type of music, people in Europe or anywhere else are usually more open to that. Maybe it's because, like you said, they still have a lot more support for the arts in their
Right.
schools and stuff like that.
I think that's definitely the case. When you're exposed to lots of art like that early on, your mind's just opened up to stuff like that. And when you're just kind of given the more popular or commercial orientated art to digest, which I think is more common here, it's a little more difficult. So yeah, I think that accounts for a lot of our success over there.
It's crazy how bands just focus in on the U.S. Like all the bands just focus in, and there's like the world is so much bigger.
Yeah.
Like right when you just open it up and like don't Facebook target just this spot in the U.S. Like go to Europe or like go target other markets because that's what everyone says. If you're not hitting in the U.S., man, I guarantee that you're gonna hit somewhere else overseas.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's so
And
true.
especially since you guys don't have vocals, you don't have to worry about the translation, right?
Yeah, that's another
So
thing.
everyone's like
That's
a universal appreciation. Yeah.
so true.
I'd be interested to hear a translation of our music into like India or something, where they just replace all their instruments with like Indian instruments
These are all the different
on
scales,
sitar,
right?
like on sitar. Like, that'd be pretty sweet. Someone do that.
Make that happen.
Right.
So are you guys, so your music being instrumental and being all emotion based, have you guys gone out and looked for like sync licensing? So like movies, television, I would assume that'd be a lot easier for you perhaps than with someone with vocals maybe.
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah,
We haven't sought it out, but we have gotten some interest by filmmakers and people who want to use the music for theatrical stuff. So we're into that. I mean, I think we're really open to that, but we haven't sought it out as much.
I think our online publisher, which is all of our music is published online through TuneCore.
Okay.
I think that one of the things they offer is that sync licensing, and I'm not, like Blaine said, our stuff may be there like for that through TuneCore, but it's not something that we like have actively pursued yet. But we have had a couple people hit us up about it, which is
I mean, I'm really
super flattering.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, there's a lot of bands like Explosions that have done stuff like that, and
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah,
they
like
did the soundtrack to Friday Night
honestly,
Lights.
that's one of
cool.
the things that really, like, I don't know, it helped them like really get
Blow
out to
up,
it, to like a huge audience.
That's probably how they're making a living, honestly.
Dude, exactly. That's what pays. Sync licensing is like the biggest revenue stream for artists these days, since everyone's just on digital, like Spotify or other streaming sites, right? So you land that deal for the sync licensing, and that's definitely what's going to take you guys to the next level. I'll tell you what you guys should do, you guys should go to like directors and be like, we'll compose your score for you.
Yeah,
that'd be phenomenal. You know what I'm
I think
saying?
that would
Like,
be awesome.
for you
So
dudes,
cool.
like I don't think anyone's ever done that really.
Yeah.
In a sense, I mean, they had people like doing songs like Sigur Rós did with that song for Game of Thrones, I think.
Yeah.
Right, but do an entire movie score, 5 dudes, like
So
that's what's
sweet.
up.
Yeah, I think so too.
4 dudes.
Retire on that. And
Yeah, let's get those royalty checks, man.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what's kind of the main message that Via Luna stands for?
Oh man, I read this question and
You're like,
I have no idea. I don't know. I had thought about it quite a bit, but I would say it's probably more on like a personal level for each and every person in the band.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I think that's true.
I think it's more about like a group, like our group of friends, like working through like what's going on in our lives and just kind of putting it out there. I don't know if it's really open-ended.
Yeah.
So like as
But
far
I
as
think
a
that's
listener,
it, yeah.
so
Yeah, I think we just lay it out there, all of our kind of our collective artistic vision, for expressing the things that we love about music and, enjoying like life and having fun. I don't know. That's kind of that's my view of our music. That's because there's lots of different things that you can, express and evoke with music, but I think our type of music is a good vessel for that. For me.
Good vibes for sure.
Yeah.
Just have a good time. Yeah. We're not trying to like spread a message or push an agenda on anybody. We're just making music that we like, and if you like it too, come to a show and dance a little bit at the show.
Yeah.
That's really what it's about for me anyway.
Yeah. And I think some of the stuff off of our last EP maybe isn't as danceable and is more to like kind of like pull emotions out of people, but like you said, it's not like spreading a message. It's just like trying to just like get people pumped and like
relate to the things that we're like playing, the emotions that we're playing.
Yes, for sure.
So
Nice. So tell me about you guys' craziest show.
I think
Craziest show?
I think we might have just had it though. and to me, the craziest show was when we went to Denton like a couple weeks ago, and like we played in that room and it was absolutely packed. And from pretty much we know some people there, so like they helped out with the crowd, but pretty much from the time we started playing to when we finished, like everyone was jumping up and down and like
There was like a pseudo mosh pit.
Yeah.
The funniest thing ever is when people try and mosh to our music.
It's the most exciting.
Oh
feeling.
yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
so yeah. But so that like that was happening, like multiple mosh pits, which makes no sense, but it was rad at the same time.
People were like getting pushed up like
into us.
Because it wasn't a stage; it was like a living room. And
Right.
people were, like spilling beer on our pedal boards and like
But it was great.
tripping
Like we were into
falling
it.
onto my drums, and it was awesome.
And then another really funny thing was like I looked up in the crowd and we implemented that one song where we sing, and when we started singing as a group, like a handful of guys had their lighters in the air and were like waving back and forth. And I was like, all right, this is awesome.
Funny thing about that show is probably the happiest that we've ever played.
Yeah.
And somebody there was taking pictures. And they took pictures and posted them up on this public page, like Via Luna and Riala played Denton, Texas, and every picture that they posted was just like the most stoic, unhappy faces that we made.
I don't know how they got it, but there's this picture of me like staring at the ground, like looking like I'm gonna kill myself. It's just
it looks like you're staring into a black hole.
yeah,
It's
it's like absolutely depressed, but like I have no idea. That was probably the most fun I've ever had playing.
I was like, thanks for sharing this picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man, do you guys ever like know that you're gonna go into a part that's off time and just look at people and like, okay, I see you guys grooving. We're about to really screw you guys up.
I kind of feel that way sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
I'm
I
like,
can't-
these guys are having so much fun. Now we're just gonna tear it
Oh.
up. Yeah.
Get ready to trip over yourself.
Right. Not in a bad way. I mean, I think that people are like, oh, nice. This is cool too. I don't think anyone's like,
That's like, yeah, right when they get comfortable, then we decide to change it.
Yeah.
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 That
And
keeps things interesting, right?
what you have to do, that comes back to our ideas about composing instrumental music
Right.
without a vocalist, we have to keep it interesting. And so things change a lot. Yeah. We don't spend too much time on one groove.
I would say the opposite though. Like I guess we'll have some weird like off time part, and I'll get a little excited before we switch to something that's super groovy.
yeah, the other way
'Cause, like,
around. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we'll be playing and some people will just be like, like I kind of get it, like bobbing their head, and then like I'm thinking in my head like,
Just
this
you
is
wait.
gonna, this is gonna be so cool. We're gonna like lay down a heavy groove on them.
Yeah.
Tell me about when you guys were coming up or just being individual music lovers in Kansas City. Did you guys go to a lot of instrumental shows, or was it just kind of like, oh, there's an instrumental band, that's kind of cool? Have you seen like the instrumental scene evolve, or is it coming up? Is it going down? Are you guys leading the way? What are your thoughts on that?
I've been going to KU for the past 4 years, so I got like the Lawrence scene.
Yeah.
But there's not like a whole lot of instrumental music there, but there was one band called Forrester a couple years
guys are
back,
rad.
and they just shred. They're unbelievable. They broke up obviously, but that was one of the bands that I was like, yeah, you can make instrumental music. And like they won Farmers Ball, which is like a every year like Battle of the Bands thing that KJHK puts on. And I remember going there my freshman year and just like, this was before I joined the band, and I remember thinking like, wow, this is like, they're just like ripping it up on stage and it's so cool. So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like you can see other examples of bands being successful, even though they're instrumental.
Like David Hasselhoff on Acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great example.
Basis
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Jorge, I think it's another example.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just like super, super good. Definitely blazing the trail for us. I mean, I think it really made it so that we had a opportunity to, I don't know. I don't, not that we wouldn't have otherwise, but maybe we're doing the same for other people. I don't know.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So your fans, are they like 18 to 65, or is there like a certain fan base that really identifies with you guys?
It's
We're totally a dad band.
I think it's broad like that. I think they're weirdly like a ton of like young people who are like really into us. Like our all ages shows are some of our best. Like I don't know.
There's no demographic, I guess, if you're going to look at it that way. It's usually the older people who do like us are musicians, though, not just.
That's a good point.
we're definitely a
right?
musician's band, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I guess.
if you look it up online, like I think like Facebook does statistics of your largest group of followers, and it's like guys from 18 to 24.
Dude, I think that's like everyone's demographic.
Yeah,
That's-
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know how much you can trust that, but at shows it's like it's pretty broad, which is awesome. Like
Yeah.
young 18-year-olds to grandparents sometimes, not a whole lot, but sometimes. And like different ethnic groups too, which is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Does it take them a little while to kind of get into your guys' set? Like when you see new faces, or are they jamming from?
Maybe like 2 or 3 songs in, they
Okay.
get an idea. Like the first song out of the way, I think introduces them to like, oh, this is an instrumental band.
Mm-hmm.
The second song, they're expecting that, and they allow themselves to get into it a little more.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, depending on what we're playing and where we're playing, like when we play shows at Californo's, people are just walking through because the deck there is right on a pathway in the middle of Westport, where there's just people walking by, and then they hear us, and then they're like, oh, this is super cool. And so when we play there, depending on, you know, what night it is or whatever, there ends up being a ton of people who were just walking by who ended up being really interested and thinking it was really cool. That's always really fun.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite place to play, and that's one of the big reasons why. It's just because if it's a Friday or Saturday night, there's gonna be people around, and if they like your music, they're gonna gravitate towards your set there because you're just out in the open.
Yeah, and there's tons of different faces and ages and demographics there who end up like hearing us from far away and wanting to check us out, which is so cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the atmosphere is really nice. The sounds is amazing for being outside.
Yeah, it's weird.
I saw you guys
wood.
A little fire pit, super.
Yeah, it's cozy.
Yeah, feng shui.
So do you guys cater your sets to the bands that you're playing with, or you just play the same set depending on, you know, how tired you are playing one song or whatnot?
We definitely change it up.
Yeah?
Yeah. On tour, we played pretty much the same set just because that's what we practiced, and we wanted to make sure we were solid. But
I wouldn't say to the bands we were playing with, though. I don't think that we definitely have like probably, and it's getting up there, but we have probably 4 songs that we pretty much have to play every set that we've decided on, and then like we sprinkle the other like 1 or 2 as a variety. So not necessarily. I think that those 4 songs span enough genres and feel that we can like get any sort of like we can show our diversity in those. Yeah. And then the other things are based off of whether or not we're feeling it that night. Yeah. So.
And I really do hope that this next song I'm going to play for you is one of those 4 that they have to play in every set. The song is called Mike, Count to 4. It's taken again off their Heavy Light album, and this is easily one of my favorite Via Luna tracks. Here we go. So tell me a little bit about the Reddit situation.
Oh yeah.
How
was
did that
super
come
cool.
across? You know, did you guys just post it up? I'm not really a Reddit user, so I don't really know how it works. But I know it worked really well for you
like a
guys.
heavy Reddit user.
Okay, drop some knowledge on it.
Which made it even cooler. Reddit, it wasn't even one of us who posted it. My dad posted us on that subreddit, which is called Listen to This. It's a subreddit is like a board on Reddit. Listen to This is one where you post a song from a band, and it can't have been posted on there within like the past like 3 months or something like that. And so, and it has to have a few amount of listens on Spotify, like under 100,000 or something like that. Yeah. And so,
it's mainly for people to find new music.
Yeah, exactly.
They go to that subreddit to find new music.
Exactly. And someone posted one of our songs off of this last EP, Magic Hour, and it shot up to the top of Listen to This, and Listen to This is what's called a default subreddit, and so it goes to the front page of Reddit, anything that's like on the top of that subreddit, and tons of people are looking at Reddit all the time and see that and listen to it. So it was the coolest thing. Like, we have people like hitting us up being like, you guys are on Reddit, you guys are on the front page, and it's like a huge deal. So
Yeah.
it was so exciting.
And then they do, I guess that subreddit specifically does like every year like a best of the year in from that subreddit page. And then this past year they posted it was like 600 songs. It was a lot of music, but they categorized it into a bunch of different genres. And the people who do that are the moderators of those subreddits.
Okay.
And so one of the moderators of that subreddit liked our song and put it onto that compilation under like the post-rock, math rock kind of progressive music. And there's only like 12 or 13 bands in that genre on that compilation, and like we're one of them. And looking at the other ones, are like
They're like really good.
Monobody, Tigran Hamasyan is on there. Like some of our favorite bands are on there, and then it's like us, and we're like, what are we doing?
Typo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it was ridiculous because we still get so many plays of Magic Hour from that thing, which came out in like January, and they made a YouTube playlist of that like genre with those like 13 bands on it, and I think we average like, I don't know, 500 or 600 plays like a week on that one song just from that thing.
Yeah.
And
we're definitely raking it in from that.
raking it in, making the millions.
It definitely helps. Like, shout out to the moderators though.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and whoever posted it, I mean, it never would have gotten there if someone hadn't posted it. I mean, I don't think it was someone we knew. I remember looking up that guy, and he's just some guy who likes that kind of music. So it's so cool. It was honestly so exciting. Especially when you use Reddit.
It was a good day.
I bet it was. Yeah. How'd that guy find you? Do you know?
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we have a lot of people who, not a lot, but people on Bandcamp. Bandcamp has been our main source of discovery for a lot of people because the tags on Bandcamp, like a lot of people just follow the tags and like check out bands that release things on certain tags. Like post-rock.
It's super great.
And things like that. Yeah, and those people find us that way and get super stoked. That's the best.
I don't know how heavy you use Bandcamp, but the way that you can like follow people who have similar tastes in you is amazing. Like, you see, like it'll show you a person's like Bandcamp profile, and it'll say like this person has like 4 or 5 matches with your discography, like what you like, like they've bought the same music. So you can follow this person, and anytime they buy new music, like you can check it out. Like it alerts you.
Oh.
And so
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, like this guy has the same taste as me. So every time he buys new music, I'm going to check out what he buys, and if I like it, then I buy it too. And that's been really great for us for sure. That's definitely our biggest
discovery tool.
Discovery tool or sales tool even.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How often do you guys buy music? Pretty frequently?
Pretty frequently, yeah.
I do. I've been getting into, I'm super late to the show, but vinyls, like I'm super into it. Buy a ton of vinyl.
Yeah.
So
See, I think I'm too lazy for vinyl. I appreciate the audio compression and what everyone talks about, it being warm and all that stuff, but I'm like, man, I gotta go flip the record. Right. Because I'm usually like listening to music, I'm doing other stuff, so
Right.
I'm completely lazy when it comes to
Yeah,
that. But
it's kind of like a special thing because I still listen to music like on my computer and stuff, but there's something like ritualistic and like kind of like I don't know, something special about I don't know the methodical like I don't know having to
It's
put
an
it on.
event. It's like watching a movie, but you're giving all of your attention to this band that you like when you're playing their vinyl because you're gonna sit down. Well, most of the time anyway. What I do is I'm gonna put this band on and I'm gonna sit down. I'm at least gonna listen to a side. Like I'm at least gonna listen to like 15 or 20 minutes of this band that I like, and it's definitely like you said, Blaine, a ritual kind of.
Yeah.
It's
So-
super cool. I've been buying a lot of vinyls too lately. Sorry, wife. We went to Love Garden in Lawrence the other night, and I snagged
I'm so jealous.
what's that record called? By Thundercat. I think it was like his first one. The
okay.
Apocalypse one. It's like something Apocalypse. Super great record. I snagged that one, and I snagged Do Make Say Thinks and Yet.
So jealous.
Yeah.
So good.
There's some good finds, and they were super affordable. So thank you, Love Garden in Lawrence, for having a great selection.
yeah, that's always the best when you walk in the record store and you just leave with like tons of stuff.
Yeah. Or the worst, however you want to
I walked in there with my wife, and she's like, "You can get one," and I was like, "Gotta get this." And then 2 seconds later, "Oh, gotta get this too." Sorry, babe, I'm having two.
Yeah, dude, whenever I go to a record store with my wife, she's just like, I'm gonna go shopping. I was like, cool, I'll see you in like 3 hours. And then vinyl is so heavy too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like vinyl from time to time, but yeah, I'm just lazy with it.
There's something about having it in your hands too that you don't
Yeah.
get with a lot of like digital music these days.
Yeah, and the artwork, I don't know.
Oh,
I just like being able to appreciate, you know, the artwork and the thought they put into the I don't know, the visual it visualizes the music for
Yeah.
me, which is really cool.
And the liner notes and stuff you can read through while you're listening, and it's just an experience.
So is it different then from what you guys experienced, like from a CD? Because CD's got all that stuff too. I know it's not as big. It's not as, you know, you can't put it, well, you could put it up on a wall, but it's not as like, I guess, piece of art perhaps.
Yeah.
But the difference is I'm a huge CD guy.
Yeah.
Like, I go buy CDs like crazy.
I think it's the same thing.
yeah.
Honestly, I mean that's the way it was when I was younger with CDs. I just it's weird because it's kind of like a circular thing. I feel like CDs will come back too, just like tapes came back, you know, after vinyl. I mean,
Which really shocks me because I'm like, man, tapes are cool, but like fast forward, stop, fast forward.
I'll be honest, I am not on the tape train at all.
I would be. Yeah.
I don't understand why that's a thing. I guess it's because it's super cheap.
Because it's cheap.
Yeah,
right?
really
Someone can
cheap.
go buy like, 3 songs from a tape, it's like 99 cents.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But like talking about audio quality and stuff, I'm a little bit of an audiophile myself, and
Yeah, you record, right?
yeah. And like tapes, like I think the cutoff rate for like high frequencies or whatever on a tape is like 12 kilohertz or something, which
Oh, I didn't know that.
human hearing goes up to 20.
Yeah.
Which CDs go all the way up to 20 because they're digital.
Right.
But tapes are like you're not getting any of the high end detail like the air
Right.
or
I think there's something cool about that. That's why so
Yeah.
many like black metal labels like release tapes. It's like they'll have like that wall of sound, you know, you just fill up that whole like frequency range. It's just like
because it's limited. The
yeah,
frequency
exactly.
is limited.
Exactly. So
It makes it sound worse, which makes it cooler somewhere.
yeah, I think it's great.
That's sort of true for vinyl too. Vinyl
Yeah,
has
that's true.
Yeah. People say warm, and it's warm because a lot of the high frequencies can't get through on vinyl. I think
Right.
it caps at like 15 or 16K or something like that. But it definitely gives it like a life of its own, kind of like you wear the vinyl out and it starts getting scratchy, and there's a spot where it skips every time. It's kind of like listening to something that's alive in front of you, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I bought the Palms album, I got the download, and so I started listening to the record. Oh, that sounds pretty good. And I
Palms
listened to the
rule. That's
download,
good.
and I was like, holy high end. This entire record, yeah. Like, oh my gosh. So you guys gonna do any vinyl in the future then?
We definitely are.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think we'd love to do it. I think we have this artistic vision for the next couple releases that we're gonna do, and then gonna release it somehow on vinyl or do the next release on vinyl or something. But we're all super into it, so I think we're trying to do that.
I think what's really cool about vinyl is the way that you can get the record to look different, right?
Yeah.
You can like dye it differently, or you can do a bunch of like holograms now, apparently.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know why that's so cool to me, but it's so fun. It's
Especially when someone does like a limited run and like
Yeah,
you can
like-
only get there's only
Yeah, it's like
100 presses.
yeah.
Coke bottle green or whatever.
Right,
It's
exactly.
Like, oh, I gotta have that one. There's only 100 of those.
Yeah, like, totally playing into people's like collector
Oh man,
bone. It's
it gets
just
me
like-
every time, and I'm not even ashamed about it. Like, I'm that one that wants that special edition one.
They have that countdown, like only 5 left, only 2 left. Oh!
Oh man.
Forget rent.
Right.
So tell me about the future of Violina. Where are you guys at now? Are you guys writing? I know you just got off tour, gonna be playing more shows, music videos.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. We're specifically we're trying to write like first thing off the bat. We've kind of been slow at it, so we're trying to get back on that horse and get some new music out to our fans and stuff like that. But we also want to dip into some video and
Yeah.
what else did you say? I'm sorry.
Oh, hey,
Like,
exactly.
just like
Yeah,
everything. Like, well, tour as far as or shows, we're kind of slowing down our shows and gonna try and like market some bigger ones and not play as often as we have. And we're working with Chris Mowry now from If Rabbits Could Fly
Yeah,
booking.
he does the booking for Pink
Pink
Royal.
Royal.
Right.
And he's a good buddy of ours, and he's gonna help us out in booking some like local regional shows, I guess.
Yeah.
And we're gonna, because that takes up a lot of time.
Yeah.
That we could be writing or recording or focusing on other stuff. So he's gonna handle that for us for the foreseeable future. But like
Yeah.
Chris said, we're really trying to focus on writing because it's been but about a year since our
Released
last
anything.
EP came out.
Yeah, and it's funny because, I mean, it's a normal clip, I think, for bands to, and clip pace. I mean, for bands to release something every year, maybe a little quickly for some bands, but for us, we're trying to like pump stuff out. I don't know. We've all got a lot of ideas, and we love writing. We love releasing music, so we're trying to write ASAP, I think. So.
What do you guys think about the subscription type services? Like, have you heard of Patreon? Or you
Yeah,
say-
I've
okay.
heard of it. Yeah.
So Patreon, essentially, you sign up, you give an artist a subscription, so you essentially like, give them like your credit card, debit card. Every time they release a project, then it charges you. So you essentially become like a patron of that particular artist. To me, that kind of seems like the future of music is, getting those people and having that consistent releasing it. But whenever I talk to bands, I'm like, hey, you guys consider this? It seems like a lot of people are hesitant to try it because it's not, we're not releasing an album, you're releasing a song at a time. Have you guys ever looked into any kind of like alternative distribution for your music, or?
Not particularly.
Yeah,
I mean,
not
we're
yet.
Gonna sound like everyone else, but
Oh, it's all good.
no.
It's still new.
Yeah,
it's
right.
not really tested yet, but
I know some of our buddies are doing that.
Yeah.
Not particularly through Patreon, but I am familiar with that, and it's an interesting concept. I think, like anything, it might take a little while before it really picks up, and maybe if it really picks up, then we'll jump on it. But it's not something that we've really thought about yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just depends on the type of art and the vision that you have for your release. Because I definitely think that when you're more song orientated, or when you're thinking more in terms of songs, then that's perfect. I think that format is great. Like but if you're thinking in more traditional terms of releasing an album and having a concept for the album, or where you want to go with the album, or having it, like your vision expressed over the course of an album, I think that's why we, at least right now, are releasing full albums like that. But I think that, I don't know, I wouldn't rule anything out for the future. If at some point we are feeling like a series of, like songs, I think that would be a cool way to tell a story too, artistically, and a series of songs released, in that format. So I don't dog anyone for releasing stuff that way. I think it's really cool.
I think you make a good point about, having an album, having a concept for the album. But on the other hand, when you talk about how fans are consuming it,
That's
Yeah.
so
are they
true.
sitting down right and they're listening from track 1 to track 10 from back to back? Probably not.
Yeah, I think people's attention spans are definitely shrinking further and further down to these single songs, you know. So I definitely think the way that people are consuming it, that's definitely the direction that maybe it's going. If you're not like a audiophile like some people are, I don't know. I always consume music in full albums, but you're right. It's not the way that's not the direction that things are going. So.
Which is unfortunate because concept albums are the best.
I know, I agree. Yeah.
Well, like you dig that and we dig that, and I think we're gonna probably for at least the foreseeable future continue to write and release our music that way because that's how we like it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the idea of a subscription-based service is cool, and I see why people do it. But I mean, it doesn't mean that we're going to do it just to stay up with everything that is going on. Like we're gonna probably continue to do things the way that we want to do them. Right. Which is in like Blaine said, conveying a collection of works in an album or like a concept all at one time, which is how we like to listen to music.
Sure.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So music videos, you guys have any music videos coming up?
Sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's that KJHK session.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You guys
The missing
live vacation.
KJH case.
We did it a couple months ago, and it hasn't come out yet, but it's coming. I'm sure it's on the horizon, maybe. But also, we're planning on shooting one too, or using combined footage from tour and other things.
Okay,
or,
nice.
You know, I don't know. I think we're doing something like that soon.
Yeah. There's something coming.
Yeah.
We're still hammering out the details, but there's some visual stuff coming.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Video. We're hoping to definitely implement some videos into like more of our like reach online for sure. So that's like one of our goals for now.
I think it'd be fun to be able to do a music video as an instrumental band because then you don't have to cater the video to the lyrics of the song.
So true.
Right.
So true.
But yeah, as far as like a big produced like music video, we're definitely talking about it, and so we don't have any details, but we're really hoping to do one sometime soon.
Nice. What about incorporating visuals in your live show?
We've experimented with it a little bit. We did a couple shows with like a projector setup, which was really cool, and then we've been using some lighting techniques, which are really cool. But that's another thing that we've kind of talked about working on, implementing some cool live visuals. We have some ideas, I think.
Yeah, at the same time that we've been talking about kind of after getting back from tour, slowing down from doing shows, writing more, and then playing more like bigger shows, like fewer and bigger shows. At the same time, we're planning on really revamping our live show, and implementing visuals has definitely been a subject that we've been talking about for that.
For sure.
Just to make it more of like a production.
Yeah, exactly. Right, because now you got to give people a reason to come out, more of a reason than just, hey, we're a rad band.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're a rad band, and there's also this, and there's also this.
Right.
Yeah.
We had an idea when we very first started of like, let's do something different at every show that we play, like so that people never see the same thing twice.
Yeah.
And we started playing shows so frequently that we didn't have time to put stuff together in between shows. And I think we're starting to talk now about revisiting that idea. So
Very cool. What kind of ideas were you guys having? Some crazy stuff?
well, yeah, mostly around the visuals.
Okay.
Maybe implementing some like instrumental cover songs of like
nice.
pop music or something. That's, I don't know. We'll see about that, but
Yeah.
it's definitely in the very early stages of planning. So we don't have anything real solid yet, but it's gonna be cool.
You guys should have one where you just wear like those big cowboy hats.
Oh,
Like
that'd be
Dumb
great.
and Dumber.
Just do a show where we're all wearing like the fluorescent colored suits, like
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber. Like
Yeah, there you go.
These are perfect ideas.
Someone write these down.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. I mean, I appreciate you guys coming in and talking with me today. Anything you want to plug? Where can people find you guys online?
pretty much everywhere that you can buy music. Spotify, iTunes, Bandcamp is the one that pays us the most, so go to Bandcamp. But like YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Do Do you guys have some of your albums like in like Josie or Mills? Did you guys do physical pressing?
Yeah, we have CDs, and I think there's still some in Mills. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, I think they're out of Mills and Records with Merit,
Nice.
actually. But we're planning on restocking.
Yeah.
Right on.
And we need to go out to Josie. I love that place. So,
Yeah.
And then Brothers Music, I just saw them the other day.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a rec store next to a jiu-jitsu place. That's kind of cool.
I haven't been in there yet, but I've heard about it. I want to
Yeah,
check
me
it out.
Yeah, it's nice.
Sweet.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks again.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very
Real.
much.
Thank
We're
you so
glad
much.
to
Cool.
be here.
Chris,
What?
gum.
I don't think I didn't think I was chewing in the microphone.